the 2026 SMU football season opens at Florida State on Labor Day in a nationally televised contest that'll be in that night game world like we saw TCU at UNC last year. This is going to be such an exciting way to open this 2026 season against the Seminoles, which SMU opened its first ever ACC game with the Seminoles back in 2024.
Such an electric game, that 2024 one. I mean, to be able to play them at home in the first ACC game in this program's history was really, really a great experience. But it's going to be just as fun for this team to go to, is it Doak Campbell Stadium out there in Tallahassee on a night game, Labor Day, Monday night. Will be on, they haven't announced television partners yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be ESPN1. That's typically the one that gets the Labor Day, Monday night game. They'll have the whole crew there. I'm sure we're going to get Herbie and Coach Saban and everything else that goes into these massive marquee games. And we'll be the only game on TV. It's going to be such a great opportunity for SMU to go out and play against a huge brand, because regardless of how you look at Florida State and what they've done the last few seasons, and yes, I know they beat Alabama in the opener last year, and everybody is raising the alarm bells that, oh my gosh, we play Florida State. They have a week 0 game against New Mexico State the week before. SMU's first opportunity is going to be against the Seminoles. But we'll just see which team shows up. I mean, Mike Norvell is going to have his back against the wall. He is on the hot seat. It is well known at this point that if he does not have success in 2026, then he's going to be out. So this is going to be a huge, huge game for both programs as one continues its ascent and the other tries to stop the free fall.
And SMU going to be facing Ashton Daniels most likely at quarterback, a new quarterback for the Seminoles who takes over for Tommy Castellanos. Another Rhett Lashley versus Gus Malzahn type of matchup, though, as Gus Malzahn, of course, the former Auburn head coach when Rhett was over there as the coach with GA of Auburn and all those things. So tons of ties there between the two, as they'll be looking to have their offenses ready to roll very quickly. And for SMU, no week 0 game, so no film out there either. That is something to, note, at least as we look ahead to this week 1 matchup. And Florida State will have one. And that is something that, can obviously help you and hurt you. SMU in its season opener last year had 2 of its best players go down in the first quarter, with Jordan Hudson and Alexander Kilgore going down. And that really hurt SMU going into that week 2 game. The Mustangs do have, I think, a little bit of an edge here going into this one because you have Kevin Jennings coming back. You have somebody who has been through so much in terms of the different environments that he's gone into. This is going to be arguably the toughest ACC environment SMU will have faced so far. Going to Clemson was right up there for sure, playing at Louisville that first year, but this is another difficult place to go and play. You're going to be kind of in that it's got a little bit of a middle of nowhere vibe when you go to Tallahassee, Florida. So you got to be prepared for that. It's going to be a rocking crowd, though, at Doak. They've renovated it. They've done so much in terms of that. They're hoping on their end of things that the roster changes that they've done over the course of the last year or so really pay off. Also, they're going into year 2 of Tony White as the defensive coordinator. And I think this one, though, is one that SMU obviously has to have. You look at all of the seasons under Rhett Lashley, and they've faced Power 4 opponents in September, and they've not really done well for a number of reasons in terms of wins, losses. In 2022 and 2023, they were a group of 5 team. They were swinging high above their weight class in some of those matchups that they faced, and they came up short, but they eventually got over that. They beat a TCU. They've started to try and do some of these different things that fix that, and it's been a mixed bag. But this is, again, we look at the past of this program. This is, I think, a new charted territory. These are conference games that SMU is going to be playing in September between FSU and Louisville, which we'll get to. And so there's got to be a different result because they matter. This is how you chart your course to Charlotte. And for SMU, it's also a little bit different because under Rhett Lashley, SMU has only played winning Power 4 programs in September, except for TCU twice from the previous year. In 2021, TCU was 5-7. They end up in 2022 beating SMU, going on to play for a national championship in 2024 when SMU beat TCU, they were 5-7 coming off of that 2023 season, I believe. So this FSU team is only the third team from the previous year that ended up, having a winning record. Or this is only the third time SMU will face a team that did not go to a bowl game the previous year under Rhett Lashley. So this is different. This is just a different feel. And I think SMU fans got to recognize that if the result doesn't come SMU's way with a win, you can look at it right away and say, okay, well, there's no more room for error in a sense, because you've got to go out and take care of business the rest of the way to kind of tee yourself up to be back in Charlotte.
Totally agree there. I mean, Florida State was the last Power 4 opponent that SMU has beaten in the month of September. SMU went 0-2 in 2025. So they played that game on September 28th. I was just pulling that up to make sure. But I like what you said about the film and it being a little more behind that fog of war for SMU, as they're not going to have all their cards on the table like Florida State's going to. Now, I know New Mexico State, Florida State's not really going to open up the playbook and do a bunch of crazy things against them. I mean, who knows? Crazier things have happened. I mean, New Mexico State went and beat Auburn a couple of years back. But I look at that game and it at least gives you an opportunity to watch all of the dudes who transferred into Florida State this offseason all on the same game clips. Because Florida State, on the other hand, when they're watching film of SMU, they're going to have a ton of guys where it's like, hey, we're watching James Madison just to watch Yannick over there, because you're just not going to have all of this film all together for those week 0 matchups, or the week 1 matchups rather, that you do on a typical season when you're getting those. And I've been in those film rooms where you're having to watch 8 different opponents because you're having to get all these transfers film, and they're not playing in the same scheme that they will be this year. So it just adds that extra layer of preparation that Florida State is going to have to overcome to beat SMU.
And to your point on the watching the transfers, it's also watching that role that they're in. You look at some of the film that SMU is diving into, all these, and that's the thing. SMU is going through their 2026 schedule and watching all sorts of guys from the transfer portal that Florida State has signed, Florida State has brought in. You don't think they're going through a bunch of Ashton Daniels film between Auburn and Stanford. That's happening because you're looking for tendencies from those players. And then you're looking at, which for SMU certainly helps, and for FSU, they're the same way in this sense, Rhett Lashley, Gus Malzahn, their tendencies for that matchup are going to be out there. That's the type of thing that we're going to see a lot of. SMU looking at Gus Malzahn with help from Rhett Lashley. FSU looking at Rhett Lashley with the help of Gus Malzahn, because they both think so similar in terms of their offenses. And look, credit to FSU. They were ready to go last year to play Alabama. Tommy Castellanos did a bunch of damage. We found out a lot about Alabama in a sense early on. That team ended up rearing its ugly head at various moments throughout the 2025 season, but still ended up being a really good team. So you see the ability that last year's FSU team had. This year, they lost a bunch of former highly touted recruits, which we've talked about, that people are looking at the transfer portal so much with Mike Norvell. Man, those high school evals are really where they've let this program slip, especially the highly touted ones that have since left the program. So a lot of changes in Tallahassee. They have a new general manager there as well. They're trying to figure out how to obviously start fast again this upcoming season. But for SMU, they've found a way to take care of business against FSU before, and they've as a program kind of been able to do that throughout their athletics. During the ACC tenure now, this is another opportunity where SMU can just make another program that tried to keep SMU out feel a little badly about what they did.
Yeah. My last experience with Gus Malzahn, as SMU has had a lot of success against them, 2021 UCF, my last win in college, 55-28. And that was the game that Gus Malzahn was perched up on stage because he had the broken leg on the other sideline. So those SMU fans that have been with us for at least that time will remember that.
And a far cry from the dentist chair that Hugh Freeze had propped up. Just one of the all-time moments for the college football Twitter family out there that still pops up from time to time. It's so good. And Hugh Freeze, the head coach of Ashton Daniels last year at Auburn. So we'll see how that matchup goes. But that one will have a ton of fanfare. and it's going to be a great opportunity for SMU fans to use our friends at Status Jet. And it is not the easiest place to get to. Sure, you can fly into Destin, you can fly into Jacksonville, you can fly into Tampa, you can fly into Orlando, you can rent a car, you can do all those things. What better way to go than with our friends at Status Jet? You could do Labor Day one place and end up in Tallahassee Monday night for this football game. Great opportunity to get a discount on a round trip flight with our friends at Status Jet. Mention on the Pony Express and get that discount. Start your booking process now. We are working on our plans for this game and trying to figure out what we're going to do ahead of this one. There's some chatter about Destin. There's some chatter about Tampa, my hometown. What are we going to do? We'll figure something out. But I can assure you guys, we will be in Tallahassee with a great pregame spot for you guys on that Monday of Labor Day, or Monday, being Labor Day, and a great time to get ready for the 2026 season. And look, if you want to drive down there, it's not a bad drive either, in my opinion, my humble opinion. You can start by going
at Thomas.
You could start by going up to the Thomas Auto Group and visiting them up 75 in McKinney. Their Ford, Subaru, Volkswagen, and Mitsubishi dealers can take care of your car needs for this long drive down to Tallahassee. Stop in New Orleans, stop in the Florida Panhandle, wherever you want for Labor Day. Make sure you are driving down there, if you do, in a new vehicle from the Thomas Auto Group. So go to thomasautogroup.com and learn about the Thomas Promise today.
At Thomas Auto Group, the Thomas Promise includes the low price promise,
the pre-owned promise,
and the 72-hour exchange promise.
And finally, the 100% customer satisfaction promise. So shop Thomas Auto Group today, home of the Thomas Promise.